This is the story of an extraordinary transformation. An it girl who turned against the government. She was born into the elite and has known Vladimir Putin since she was a child.
Ksenia Sobchak is one of the most famous people in Russia. She's known to millions as a socialite and a TV star. Her father was mayor of St. Petersburg, and Vladimir Putin was a family friend.
Her fame earned her a fortune for personal appearances. But now, she's using her celebrity to oppose Putin. Sobchak was the queen of reality TV. For 8 years, she hosted Russia's version of Big Brother, Dom 2. Then, a bombshell.
Я сегодня ухожу с проекта Дом 2.
In July 2012, Sobchak evicted herself, choosing politics over a lucrative career presenting fluff. And she had a parting message for her millions of viewers.
И последнее. Всегда поступайте так, как считаете правильным. Всегда не бойтесь говорить правду. Иногда это стоит очень дорого.
Sobchak's face disappeared from all state TV, which doesn't have much time for the Kremlin's opponents.
The recent waves of protests have exposed a generational split in Russia, and you can actually see it here. On one hand, the Kremlin, the seat of power, and Vladimir Putin. And over here, the Red October chocolate factory, now the trendiest place in Moscow. It's where young Muscovites come to work and play, and it's increasingly where they articulate their discontent with this regime.
Red October is a glamorous bubble of free expression. It houses a cable TV station, one of the few places where it's still permitted to criticize the government. Sobchak has now become their biggest attraction, regularly giving airtime to Putin's enemies. She was about to interview a member of his least favourite band, Pussy Riot. I went to find Sobchak in her dressing room.
People will wonder, they will think you had everything. You are famous, you have money, you have a great life, you could live anywhere in the world. Why choose this path?
Well, because I think it's important to do it for my country, and I think it's important to try to change things.
Do you have a relationship with Vladimir Putin? Is he still a friend?
He's president of the country. I don't think he has so much time to have relations with, some people from his life in St. Petersburg. So I think that was more of a myth even in times when I didn't go out on the squares.
But I have heard it said that he divides his opponents into two camps. He says he's got enemies and he's got traitors. What do you think he regards you as?
I think he just thinks, that I'm a, stupid girl, why she's there, and what was wrong with her life. She had everything she wanted. So I just think he doesn't understand my motives, and it just makes him nervous as, something very small and unserious, but that really bothers, like a fly. So.
Sobchak was using her TV experience to turn a simple interview into a political act. Wearing a prison uniform and filming on the roof. Katya Samutsevich is Pussy Riot's guitarist. She had just been released from prison. The backdrop was the cathedral where her band had performed a punk prayer, calling for a Russia free from Vladimir Putin.
Собчак живьем.
Художники, которых волнует общество, да, как устроено общество, они не могут молчать, и они делают вот это политическое искусство. Возможно, они этим раздражают власть.
Ты не можешь молчать?
Да, конечно, я одна из тех, кто не может молчать.
Two of her bandmates were still in prison. Russia was deeply divided about what they'd done, but their harsh treatment had won international sympathy.
Ну, это некая поддержка политическая, там, культурная, там, концептуальная поддержка того, что произошло, того, что мы сделали. Поддержка вот этого гражданского протеста, поддержка наших феминистских взглядов, поддержка нас, как граждан, которых репрессировали, которых посадили в тюрьму.
It was TV gold. But the building's ventilation came on, spoiling the sound.
Пожалуйста, давайте. Ну как можно было так проебать звук? Вот скажи, пожалуйста.
Sobchak's old show, Dom 2, might have been trashy, but it was well produced.
Я не могу понять. Вот мы готовимся к съемке, вызываем людей. Вот неужели нельзя в этот час не включать никаких чиллеров? Вот просто объясни мне, пожалуйста.
I was seeing a steely side to Sobchak, and this former reality TV host was trying to bring the same sense of ambition to the protest movement.
Churchill said, in politics you don't have time, you only have moment. No, it's not the moment. Like, you can go out, nothing would change. Not today, not tomorrow. Keep those people, keep them inflated, keep them, provoke them with articles, speak with them, gather with them someone, but don't make it like protest meetings every month. Look, that'd be ridiculous after some time. I don't want to get involved in, something that will lead to nothing.
Sure. Okay.
This is my position.
This is one of Moscow's most expensive restaurants, where Sobchak was entertaining the new darling of the Russian protest movement.
Нет, мы делаем сейчас большой материал про все акции.
5 days before, she'd been on prison rations.
Это был, конечно,
Sobchak's friend, Ksenia Sokolova, joined them to do another interview.
То есть, если я сейчас скажу саму цель, что, смотри, надо прыгнуть на стол, раздеться, не знаю, насрать вот в Припяти, тогда ценности феминизма будут спасены. Вот я почему-то уверена, что ты этого сделать не сможешь.
Или там я разделяю, да, то, как я, например, в жизни общаюсь с людьми, и то, где начинается твоя работа, художественная работа.
То есть ты как-то внутренне меняешься, когда эта работа начинается?
Конечно.
То есть доктор Джекил, мистер Хайд?
Ну, наверное, можно сказать так, да.
Sobchak may have joined the anti-Putin movement, but she hasn't abandoned the high life. At Red October, in the offices of Snob magazine, they were preparing the interview for publication. I met up again with Ksenia Sokolova, the magazine's deputy editor.
Да, вот это Snob.
This is Snob Central.
Да,
What
Snob
about-
Central.
Tell me about the name, Ksenia. To me, I wasn't sure it was ironic when I first heard it. I thought that, knowing what I know about Russian society, I thought it was quite possible that Snob was a serious
Ну,
name.
это, конечно, в ироническом ключе.
Sokolova has known Sobchak for years, and they often interview people together.
Мне показалось, что это будет очень смешно, если вот я там обладающая имиджем более-менее серьезного человека, и вот такая трэш-дива, как Собчак, мы, значит, станем вести вместе эту колонку. Это оказалось гениально сработано, потому что это было как театр такой вот.
So you are the straight person, and she was the.
Да, она была такая.
She was the bimbo.
Сейчас-то все изменилось абсолютно, потому
You're
что.
two serious people.
Да, теперь Собчак у нас серьезный человек, а я так, в общем, гораздо менее серьезный.
When did she go from Sex in the City to the New York Review of Books?
Но вот такой такое сильное изменение, я думаю, где-то год назад это все с ней начало происходить, и очень быстро. Это было ощущение, что реально человек заболел. То есть что-то вдруг вот начало очень сильно меняться.
In Russia today, life can quickly become difficult for outspoken critics of Putin and his allies. Sobchak was clearly willing to take the risk. She took her live show to Bryansk, a provincial town where local elections were mired in scandal.
Здравствуйте.
She was there with her mother, a senator for this region.
Очень приятно, Ksenia. Людмила, очень приятно. Ludmila, do you worry about her? You, as a mum?
Yes, sure, I'm mother of this very independent journalist and very independent young lady.
You must make you nervous, and I would be scared if she was my daughter.
I cannot do nothing.
But you know,
She's a really free person, and I am so glad for this.
Doesn't matter, you nervous or not.
it's like break a leg, right?
Мам, пойдем, пожалуйста. Все, пойдемте, ребята, а то опаздываем уже.
Despite her fears that it might endanger her mother's job, Sobchak planned to grill local politicians about a deal they'd made to ensure Putin's man won.
What's the audience? What kind of audience do you expect for this?
Young audience.
No, but
25, 35.
But how many? What sort of numbers?
Around on YouTube it's around 200,000,
Okay.
and on live it's like 300,000.
Okay. Sobchak's celebrity reaches parts of Russia the protest movement hasn't touched.
He's asking for an autograph.
She has an army of young fans who wouldn't normally be interested in politics.
This is the audience for the show. Почему вы сюда приехали?
В большей степени интересуемся ей, Ksenia Sobchak.
Okay. Where did you know her from? Это какая передача? Дом 2.
But Sobchak's invited guests had gone AWOL.
Согласие на эфиры. Несколько раз я лично сегодня разговаривала с каждым из них. Никто из них не пришел, и более того, за 10 минут до начала эфира эти люди отключили телефоны.
The politicians had avoided her questions. Sobchak interviewed her mother instead about the allegations of political skullduggery in this town.
Здесь вовлекается не только традиционная борьба компроматов или средства массовой информации, но и судебная система. И вот это самое, на мой взгляд, опасное для настоящих демократических выборов.
2 days later, the newly elected governor, an ally of Putin, sacked Sobchak's mother from the Russian Senate. Sobchak's become dangerous to be around. In her Dom 2 days, Sobchak went out with men like Umar Jabrailov, a Chechen-born billionaire, and Sergei Kapkov, a politician in Putin's United Russia party. But her new boyfriend's very different. Ilya Yashin has spent time in jail for political activities. I wanted to find out what he stood for.
You're freer than any generation has been in your country before, true?
Знаете, не обижайтесь, но вы напоминаете мне следователя, который ведет мое уголовное дело по Болотной площади. Вот он на допросе мне говорит о том, что ты можешь свободно говорить в нашей стране все, что считаешь нужным, чем ты недоволен. Но, возможно, я недоволен тем, что я сижу в твоем кабинете, и ты меня допрашиваешь по сфабрикованному уголовному делу.
Yashin was with Sobchak in her flat this June when it was raided by armed police. The authorities confiscated her passport and 1.3 million euros in cash. Sobchak sued, insisting she'd earned the money legally and got it and her passport back.
Они показали Ксении Собчак и всем другим людям, которые поддерживают оппозицию, которым есть что терять, и показали, что можно потерять все в один момент. Даже если вы честным трудом зарабатывали ваши деньги всю жизнь, в какой-то момент к вам в дверь могут постучать люди в масках и с автоматами, забрать все, что у вас есть. Просто забрать. Сейчас власть перешла к этапу реакции. Они пытаются задавить протест с помощью полицейского давления, административного давления, запугивания, но...
And in fact, Yashin and other protest leaders were on the streets because the police had just detained some prominent members of their movement. But the recently re-elected Putin publicly treats the protesters with disdain. He's compared them to a group of chattering monkeys without a leader.
One of the problems the opposition has is that it's not clear who, if anyone, is in charge. So they're trying to choose a proper set of leaders. And as part of that, they're holding live TV debates.
Дебаты на дожде.
Сейчас мы перейдем к следующему участнику наших дебатов. Уже не 93 тысячи человек зарегистрировалось избирателями.
Sobchak was standing in this election for the Leadership Council.
Оказывается, что наш главный враг – это не Путин, не Шахов и не какой-то губернатор, выдвигающийся от «Единой России». Наш главный враг – это человеческое равнодушие.
Sobchak offered a blast of glamour, but some weren't sure they needed it.
Но мне бы хотелось, чтобы не только вы на него умели отвечать, но и я. Вот как правильно отвечать на вопрос про вот эту вот пропасть между Домом 2 и там Координационным советом?
Мое прошлое будет преследовать меня всегда.
Мне кажется, что не важно, кто кем был, важно, кто кем стал или кто кем старается стать. Поэтому здесь...
А вот здесь точно зрение, что люди не...
He was asking you about your previous life.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that? Who were you?
It's not like, previous life. It's not like, I was, like Eva Peron dancing striptease somewhere, and, it's not like that.
But he made it sound a bit like he was asking...
Because, I was a TV star of a quite filthy TV show, and, that was part of my show business stuff, so I'm not, I'm telling about this with quite openly, and I don't keep it in secret, and I don't delete all the files.
This is an unusual showreel for an aspiring politician. When she appeared at last year's protests, the crowd rejected her.
Ksenia Sobchak. Здравствуйте, я Ksenia Sobchak, и мне есть что терять. Но тем не менее, я здесь, потому что мой отец и власть российской деспоты.
A year later, it was the day of the protest movement's leadership elections. Tens of thousands of people had signed up to vote. The government had dismissed it as a stunt, but someone had taken it seriously enough to mount a cyber attack that had shut down the site for online voting. We went to join Sobchak's boyfriend, Ilya Yashin, at one of the polling stations.
На голосование. Ну, правильно, будем.
Я думаю, что во многом из-за вчерашних DDoS-атак сегодняшний ажиотаж сформировался, потому что люди боятся, что сайт снова ляжет, пытаются поскорее проголосовать. Власти, как обычно, глупостями своими нам только помогают.
But of course, no one could prove that the Kremlin was behind it.
The government will say your election was 165,000 people and theirs was 70 million, won't they? They'll say this is small change.
Наши выборы, конечно, меньше, чем выборы в Государственную Думу или когда выбирают президента. Но мы не претендуем на представительство всех, да? Мы не формируем органы власти, мы формируем протестные движения. Тот факт, какие они предпринимают усилия, чтобы все сорвать, какие там организуются атаки на нас. Это все говорит о том, что они понимают угрозу, исходящую для статус-кво Путина.
Sobchak would now find out if she'd convinced the people who'd booed her a year before.
I've come to Red October, to the offices of Deutsche TV. The polls have closed and the winning candidates are about to be announced.
More than 80,000 people had voted. Out of 200 candidates, only a quarter would sit on the new ruling council. Would Sobchak win the popular vote or be evicted?
В нашей студии, помимо кандидатов, прошедших в КС, присутствуют также кандидаты, которые не добрали несколько голосов Координационного совета. И победителей я поздравляю с победой, а кандидатам, которые не вошли в Координационный совет, я бы хотел сказать огромное спасибо.
So these would be the new faces of Putin's opposition. First, Russia's top anti-corruption campaigner, Alexei Navalny. Second, the nation's most famous poet. Third, the chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov. And then vindication. Sobchak had come fourth out of 200 candidates. She'd confirmed her position in the protest movement.
Hi. You did very well. How do you feel? Good, huh? Were you surprised, please?
33,000. It's great.
That's great. And Ilya Yashin was fifth.
Yeah, but it's good he's a little bit under me. That means he wouldn't make me prepare borscht at home. You know,
Okay.
this is a good.
Do you have political arguments?
You know, we are like Clinton's family in a small scale. So
Right.
he won't say me go and wash the dishes now.
I don't think there's any chance of that.
Наше главное откровение. Я вас обыграла.
Well done. You came fifth. Пятое место.
Да, я как джентльмен пропустил Ксению вперед на 50 голосов.
Sobchak remains not completely trusted by some of her fellow protest leaders. But the voters had shown they want her in a position of power. Perhaps they now accepted that she was a serious politician. Perhaps she'd mobilized her huge fan base. Or perhaps, like me, people just wanted to see who she would become next.
Thanks for watching. Click the logo to subscribe for more award-winning documentaries from the Unreported World team. We upload videos every Sunday, keeping you up to date with content from all over the world.